What's happening, guys? Chris from NCG here, and today we're going to be talking about Garbodor, the Garbatoxin Garbodor, and what partner it should have coming into the next format. Why should Garbatoxin Garbodor even deserve sort of fought this format? Well, simply put, the big three for this format that have been put forward are, of course, Garbodor, Volcanion, Metagross. All ability reliant decks, so being able to have a ability negation because you don't have Hexmaniac anymore, although the Muck only hits basics. So Garbatoxin Garbodor is your best bet for shutting down those decks before they can really start hurting you for major damage. So let's talk about the existing two partners Garbodor had and why they are not good enough now, and then we'll talk about potential new partners the deck can have going into this format. So let's start off with Grampa. Grampa was arguably the most used partner of Garbodor, partnered with the Trashlands Garbodor as well, but Grampa done 150 if there was damage counters on your Pokemon, which was achieved by either Team Magma Secret Base or the Rainbow Energy. It also had an effect to discard special energy from your opponent's Pokemon, which actually was really relevant. Discarding DCEs, just really good. And then lastly, Big YugiohCardMarket GX was not too relevant because N is a card, but you know, going maybe into late game where it's sort of worth the risk. If your opponent has N, your opponent has N, but drawing 10 cards could maybe get you back into the game or maybe just secure your winning position. So Trumpet, the main reason it was played was hitting for 150. That is just not good enough anymore. You've got Garbodor, Metagross, who are up in the 230, 250 range. Volcanion, sure, but all three decks mentioned can take out the knockout on Trumpet pretty easily. Garbodor can do it definitely without Choice Band. Even Volcanion, but Metagross needs the Choice Band to take out the knockout. So with that in mind, Trumpet is just not worth the 2 prize giveaway that it once was, and I do not believe that the prize return Trumpet could potentially deliver. Well, the lack of prize return Trumpet delivers, it just makes it no longer a suitable candidate for the Garbatoxin Garbodor. The next partner, and the second most played partner, is Espeon. This just delivered a really strong first game or first turn, being able to start with an EV Psychic Energy to hit for Confusion, deal 30, and Confusion is obviously really annoying. You could miss, oh well, no, sorry, I played in the old format, you don't miss retreating anymore, but you could miss attacking, and not only that, you take damage back, so it is a really good starting off. Divide GX is not bad at all, being able to pick out knockouts on the bench, and then plant it down for a KO on a GX, or whatever. Psychic can mount up a lot of damage, so Espeon had really good good points for it, but however, Confusion is not as relevant anymore in our really evolution-based formats. You're obviously going for routes into Kirlia, into Garbodor, so the Confusion probably doesn't last too long for it to be relevant. Yeah, Psychic take out probably a big knockout on the Garbodor for like a revenge kill. However, the prize exchange with that will never be in your favour, simply put. And your only backup attacker is the Trashlands Garbodor. With the lack of VS Seeker going into this format, items probably won't be as around in the discard pile as it once were. So when you get Espeon out of the way, you're just sending out Trashlands Garbodor that are just not going to hit for enough damage. So that is the main reasons why the two former partners just will not be good enough this format. Of course, you can try it yourself, maybe put some techs in like Potown or just like teched Pokemon to maybe go around those matchups. However, you're still giving yourself a tougher time, and why do it? Essentially, you're only just doing it to show that you can rather than you should. So let's move on to 3 potential partner or partners the deck can have. So first of all, we'll go back in time a bit to Garbatox and Garbodor's first partner. It was Zorak and Zorak Break. Why would you play this? Zorak Break is a really good card with Mind Jack and Step In, I think it's called, where you get to swap about. So if your opponent does like Guzma for the Garbodor, you can easily swap it back in, no problem. Well, obviously the Garbodor would negate it, but going into early game, just really good stuff like that. And then obviously it's a dark attack that then takes your opponent's abilities. So like stuff like Infinite Force off the Gardevoir, like even the Volcanion attacks, just really good attacks to get. Don't think you can take GX attacks, I'm not too sure. You might be able to, which would be pretty sweet. So Zorak seems to be better than Grampa and Espeon because it only surrenders 1 prize. It just has better attacks, more useful attacks. If Garbodor is not active, negating effects, and it has quite a useful ability in the Step In, or whatever it's called, the switch. So that's a reasoning for Zorak being good. However, for essentially a stage 2 in Zorak Break, its HP is just not good enough. Yes, as an exchange, it only surrenders 1 prize when it's beat, but even then, you're still expecting a bit more from the Pokemon. So there's a reason why this was no longer played, and that is why. So moving up the ladder, we are looking at Novern. Now this is a really interesting idea. The Novern GX card has a lot of lockout effects. Its first attack, when it does damage, you obviously need to play Dark and Psychic like you would be doing with the Zorak variant anyway, but it makes your opponent not being able to use items next turn. So if you've got Garbodor, Garbotoxin up and using the Novern attack, they can't use items, can't use abilities. So you're just locking your opponent out of a lot of stuff. We all know how scary Vileplume was this format, so you know how good being locked out of items is. And then in addition, you can step it up to make your opponent unable to use special energies, so no DCE. It makes your opponent not being able to have like a mounted up combat, because the only way Gardevoir is going to be getting a lot of damage without an ability is of course DCE. So if you lock them out of that, that means they have to really slowly build up Infinite Force, and it's probably not going to do that much damage in the end, and you maybe will get the knockout before. You obviously pay double Dragon Energy for the little time you have left to play it, but you're going to have to play Psychic and Darks in this deck. You could play Trash Launch Garbodor because you're playing the Psychic Energy. It's completely optional, but as I stated earlier, the Trash Launch Garbodor isn't as good as it once was. So it is a lockout deck. That obviously has benefits in itself. However, the drawbacks, it is a really hard deck to set up. Novern is really awkward and clunky if you don't get the right energy onto it. There's no real acceleration with the deck putting energies on, so it is like a really slow build up. However, the reward are massive when you get to set it up. But however, if you, by the time you've set up, your opponent's already set up to where negating their abilities or taking away whatever items they have in their hand isn't good enough, then Novern GX is not going to do you much good at all. So moving on to the last partner Garbatox and Garbodor has is of course the Alolan Ninetales, and of course Glaceon EX. These partner together. Someone on Hey Fonty give me this idea. I will tag you when I put this post onto Hey Fonty. But what essentially it does is you can play the Water Energy, the DCEs, to get Ninetales as your main attacker. Ninetales can ping away for 50, do the 160, put the damage counters on your opponent, all while Garbatox and Garbodor is negating your opponent's ability. In the mirror, especially if you're going against the Ninetales mirror, having Garbodor or Garbotoxin to negate the Luminous Barrier Ninetales is really huge. But yeah, Ninetales is just the main attacker out of that. It does do really well when the effects are locked down, and Glaceon makes it so it's not getting hit by stage 2s, which the meta seems to be heavily comprised about. So having an engine like that, you can play the Tabby Cocos as well for pinging more damage. All this damage mounts up from the Ice Blades and the Flying Flips. So that is a nice little way to play it. I do believe that is the best way of playing Garbotoxin Garbodor. But having the consistency of Beacon to set up your Garbotoxin Garbodor, and as well as having the really strong attacks of the Alolan Ninetales GX. Both of them together, I believe, that makes this the best Garbotoxin Garbodor variant. Agree, disagree, please let me know in the comment section below. Do you believe that any that I've mentioned or any you mentioned yourself is enough to make Garbotoxin Garbodor a meta force? Do you believe I'm wrong? Espeon and Trumpet are still the better variants and will still be meta? Any of that good stuff, please let me know in the comment section below. But for now, this is Chris from NCG signing.